What could go wrong? Ooh, it's spooky.
I always forget that I hit the wrong one. That one would be better.
I keep expecting. I'm sorry.
I always forget that you can't hear that.
Yeah.
But there's a train.
So what was this? Was there a sound effect?
The train, like a steam engine.
I didn't hear it. Yeah. So, I keep expecting like a Family Guy character to pop his little head up and be like, giggity, something.
I think that's us. I think we're the
Yeah.
little popping in from the side. It's so Paul. Apparently this week, every tech company made just
a gajillion,
a gargantuan a truckload is like underselling it, like a blimp full of money. I think.
2 fun facts: of the 4 big tech firms, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft had the lowest revenues of those 4.
Yeah.
The other fun fact is Amazon, which off the top of my head, I think it was $96 billion, had more revenues than Google and Microsoft combined.
But what was Amazon's net income, though?
It was very low. It was single digit, like 6 or 7 something billion. But remember, this is a retailer that delivers everything it sells right to your door.
Yeah.
Right. So, they have huge costs related to logistics and delivery and all that kind of stuff. And those costs are only going up now because of the pandemic and no one's leaving their house. So this came up in Ask Paul today. It's like a very different kind of business.
Oh, sure. Not even close.
Yeah.
What I was going to point out is, though, they may have had the lowest revenues, low being $37 billion.
Right. I mean, low of incredible high numbers. Yeah.
They did have more net income, though. Like, they actually put more dollars into the bank than both Apple and Amazon did. So, I don't want to Google
that's true. No, that's fair. In fact, I would say, just looking at the numbers, Microsoft's net income, which is profit, right, was as high as Amazon and Google's net profit, we'll call it, combined. So, yes. But, I'm not an accountant. You probably know a lot more about this than I do. But when you look at all these different financial metrics, I mean, profits are the types of things that could be hit by any seasonal, temporary kind of cost of business thing. A one-time write-off or write-down could impact, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I'll say this. I mean, honestly, looking at these numbers, the 2 things that stand out to me the most are that Amazon had that incredible number, 96 billion. It's crazy. And this, by the way, non-holiday quarter. Crazy. Okay, there's that. I mean, Amazon, I never thought about this until they may be on track to become like the biggest company in the world because of this kind of thing. But okay, that's one. And then the other one is Apple, aside from Amazon, had the biggest revenues, 64.7 billion. They didn't launch iPhones in the quarter. Normally they do.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously the iPhone revenues were down, and you can examine Apple all you want. I mean, they saw great gains. I think it was Mac and services. Those gains are not enough to offset the iPhone. Okay. But dude, this was a non-holiday quarter, non-iPhone launch. 67 point, what the fuck? What the,
yeah, I know. It really doesn't make sense because a lot of people are very the uneasiness, not just from the pandemic. It's also, we're less than a week away from an election. Typically that's and the markets have been
great uncertainty.
Yeah. Great uncertainty.
Never experienced a time of this kind of uncertainty. I mean, it's
volatility is just about its peak. And, and these companies just reporting astronomical amounts of revenue.
Yeah.
I guess people said, well, I'm not buying Starbucks today. I'll buy an Apple Watch instead. I don't.
By the way, off the top of my head, that was one of the little data points that came out of Apple's earnings conference, which I still haven't read or listened to. I just saw this from a blog post. 75%, if I'm not mistaken, of Apple Watch purchases in that quarter were new to Apple Watch.
Net new. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, what? They're already the biggest I think they're bigger than the rest of the wearable market combined, if I'm not mistaken. But if that's wrong, they're still by far the biggest maker of wearables.
Yeah.
75% of the purchases this past quarter, which had to have all been the new thing, right? They announced that in September, released it in September, whatever. New customers. What the hell?
Well, it's because people just, I bet the SE was a huge driver of that. Had to have been.
Oh yeah, oh, whatever. But that's great. Good for them.
Yeah, no, they've got the wearable to beat, and now they've got a wearable at a price point that's going to be really tough to beat, and they've got a really good
you nailed
ecosystem.
that marketing, just tagline. You just nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of iMessage, this was hilarious in my own little brain last night. So,
yeah.
So it rained a lot here, just like a ton of rain.
Yeah, same here. Yep.
And my dad has a rain gauge like outside their house, and it collects the rain and tells you how much it's rained over all that. So I texted him like, how much rain we got? He sends me back a CSV. That's what he had. That's in iMessage. I didn't even know this was possible, and I don't know how he did it either because it was on accident. Because he sent it over, and I'm like, Dad, I can't. What can you tally this for me?
So what happened when you tapped it?
It opened.
It's just right in place. So in other words, Apple, well, the iOS has the capability to display the contents of the CSV file natively.
I don't think I can manipulate it, but I could definitely open the file.
Wait, you did it on the watch?
No, none of my watch. But
okay. I was gonna say that one. Like what?
Let's see here. Export.csv is what he sent. So I can't manipulate it, but I mean, like it opens. Like,
it's just a light screen here. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. Can you can zoom in? I assume.
Yeah. And like,
so how many inches of rain did you get?
It's like close to 3 inches, which is
So what's that in snow inches? Like 36.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something like. Because it has been raining. Like we walked the dog in the rain 2 days in a row. It was raining, like not misting. Yep. It was like raining. And then it did that like all day yesterday. It wasn't until we went out last night. So we got out of the restaurant. It had stopped raining. Mm-hmm. In the middle of the night, I could hear it raining. I woke up to rain. And then it just stopped. But I mean, it's rained like an incredible amount.
Yeah. Anyway, so he eventually realized that I couldn't interpolate a CSV on my phone. And he's like, oh, I realized he screwed up and sent the right thing. But I was just more impressed that that my dad knew how to send a CSV on iMessage of all things, because Lord only knows. And then,
he has some kind of a...
It's got to be from the app that he got it from. Yeah. Right. He probably just like download data or share data, I guess, and then... Whatever. That's like on my agenda. Actually, the next thing I want to find for my office. Well, first off, 2 things. I ordered something off of Etsy, which I've like never done in my life.
What's it? A little cozy for your new Xbox controller, or Sorry, go ahead. You were telling a story.
Anyway, so they're spaced. So they're like blueprints, but of like rockets, like the Saturn V and a whole bunch of, like, there's 4 of them, and I'm going to frame them and put them on my wall. And I ordered these things at the beginning of October, and you just go on there. I'm like, this is what I want. And I didn't realize it came from the Netherlands, and it's it's like, they're probably just like printed off of a high-end printer. And these things are going to show up sometime between October 1st and never. Like, I don't know where these things are.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
So the most expensive part of this purchase was really just the shipping, not the creation of the actual product.
Or just my time refreshing the thing. It says like exported customs. Anyways, what I'm looking for in my office, I don't know how we got on this, maybe the weather, are like analog weather gauges. My dad has some, and I really like them. It shows like humidity, like the barometer and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's everything you put outside, they kind of spin around. And
yeah, and I want to they have like 2D analog ones. I'm trying to find some nice ones to put on my wall in my office, but I don't know how we got on this.
This is how you're sliding it. You're turning into like an 80s action hero. Next, you're going to be like driving like a carburetor-based Camaro from the 1970s.
IROC. Z28 IROC.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I'll go for a Firebird, right? Just have the big bird on the hood.
Yeah.
Or maybe go like Knight Rider style. Get the little light for Kit.
Jeez, please don't.
Anyways, what are we doing with our lives?
I don't know. I don't know.
Kind of forgot that we're live too. Hello, chat room.
Oh, this isn't just you and me.
No, it's like I can't edit any of this out. This is like, it's only going to get worse too, because we changed the time on Sunday after we trick or not treat or whatever, trick or COVID, I guess I should call it this year.
What does that mean? Lighter in the morning or in the afternoon? Must be morning.
Morning. We get sunlight when you don't want it, and then it's going to get dark
earlier. Yeah, because it's not already terrible in the afternoon.
Yeah, the gray overcast followed by changing the time, which gets really dark early for you, like 4 p.m. or something, doesn't it?
I could look it up because as you know, The
We have this
iOS
conversation
weather app.
every year, every 6
I know.
months. None of us put it.
It's why isn't it? What's happening?
Yeah, that was
No,
a story
it's
in
not
my life.
there. It used to have a thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's a little. You've seen it. It's like
Yeah. I've got one on my watch actually, but I can tell you when it's going to sunset's going to hear. Sunset's going to hear. That is just.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is on the OnePlus one. So 6 p.m.
Yeah, so you'll
Sunrise
get
at
5
7:30.
Man, that's more brutal than here.
That's today, though. I mean, so what in
Yeah,
the
but you
future?
subtract an hour, that's 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
December.
This is what I remember from being a kid. Like, and when I say a kid, I mean like under 6 years old because of where I lived at the time. But my mother would tell me in the winter, I had to come home when the lights came on out in the street, and I hated that because the lights came on like way early, like at
Yeah.
4 or something, and it was too early. So we used to argue about this all the time. That it should be time based, not some arbitrary light sensor base. So.
That's when Paul got into hacking, and that's how he figured out how to.
Yeah, more like I got into rock throwing. I think is what I got to do. I'll take care of this light problem. The light never came on. What?
That's with you with your hand behind your back, and the officers there at the door. It's like, do you know what your son was doing? It's whatever. Samsung also had a record quarter, although they didn't. I think they said not expect great things in the holiday quarter, which.
Yeah, and well, they got their big boost this past quarter from the whatever it was, the Note 20 lineup, and now they're kind of screwed because Apple launched all their stuff in this quarter. They've got nothing new to launch. I mean, they had the little, the S20 FE, I guess, but yeah, it's not going to be as good.
So I
also got. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Hey.
No, I just preliminary data only from IDC that Samsung is the number one smartphone maker in the world, followed by Huawei, Xiaomi, and then Apple.
Is that based on volume?
Unit sales, yeah.
Anyway, So I woke up this morning to an email notification that says, "Hey, we're going to be making some changes to Teams. We're going to bring some Fluent to it." I was like, "Oh, this is convenient timing."
You got an email about this?
Well, it's an Office 365 like message notification update, and they are taking the slow road because Fluent, if you're not familiar, Paul, and I know you don't pay. No, I'm just kidding. It's like 3 years ago they announced it, I think.
Yeah. So it must be 100% rolled out in Windows 10 by now, right?
Yeah, something like that. So what they are doing is they're rolling out some Fluent elements to the web version of Teams, and I think all they're doing is changing the icons in like one color section.
Okay.
And then it's going to be great. Like they're actually going to bring Fluent to Teams just in time for the major update that's going to happen in like a year from now to Windows 10 of a UI overhaul. So they will have nice competing and clashing UI elements for the next decade, circle of life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Somebody asked me what I thought about this. What's it called?
Sun Valley.
Sun Valley, yeah. I mean, I don't remember the timing of this, but sometime earlier this year, I talked about the source I have at Microsoft, who I trust very much.
I was going to say, you mentioned, I can't remember when, but you said, hey, there's going to be some UI changes coming to Windows 10.
And I have really not heard anything since then, but and I've not heard this code name, but I assume this is exactly what he was talking about. And so it's happening on whatever time frame it's happening on. But I guess two things here. I mean, first of all, the Windows UI has not changed in Windows 10 time frame at all. So, okay, fine. We're going to be 6 years plus in by that point. That's good. It's overdue, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what anyone's opinion is about how much just changing the UI does. What that does, like if it's a big or small or whatever. I guess I'm of a mind that if they just do what Apple did with Big Sur, which is to make the thing consistent, modern, and attractive, that's good. Like, to me, that's enough.
Yeah, you just asked for three things, though. You can have consistent, you can have modern, and you can have attractive. They're not mutually exclusive items, so we'll see.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, look, here's the dark side of this is we've all seen what Windows 10X looked like. At least we don't know if it still looks that way, but it's terrible. So I assume it's not the same team of people. They're not trying to make it look like that. If they do that, it's like. But again, macOS Big Sur, I think sets a nice bar for what it should look like.
The other interesting thing that they're doing, though, is that they're trying to do it in the fall release, which is for an enterprise. That's what they support for 30 months, which is, if it doesn't make so much sense from that perspective because, hey, I know it's behoove Microsoft to ship a build with new things, and then it's buggy as shit, and to do that in the fall is a little more dicey.
Yeah, but we don't know how they're gonna change the schedule next year. I mean,
if they change the servicing timelines again for Windows 10, I am going to get so drunk on this podcast I will be sitting here laughing harder than when that Twitter hack happened. And like all those big accounts were tweeting out like Bitcoin links. If they change that servicing time window again, that'll be a great day.
I don't see how you roll out a major new UI in the second half of the year without changing the schedule. That's all. Although I guess, from a servicing perspective, it is the fall release that gets the longer servicing time. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
You can just imagine like Johnny Depp as like Jack Sparrow just stumbling into the boardroom like, I'm going to tell you about servicing. And then just hammering on the rum.
They have been changing it fairly regularly.
I mean, it has been a while since they've moved the cheese. Move the cheese on.
Yep. Maybe we're overdue,
or not.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Ugh.